year, this will become tax-exempt property, whereby Virgin's Broadband is a for-profit company and will pay property tax. While I do not have an exact amount, I would anticipate somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 per year. While this may not be a significant amount, any new revenue the city can generate must be considered regardless. After the bids came in, I exchanged communications with Jerry Hale from Lowell Township Supervisor, and Stephanie and Ryan Peel from Virgin's Broadband. They offered a cooperative option to move forward. The township would move forward with purchasing the land and carve out a portion of it for Virgin's Broadband's needs. Since they do not need the entire parcel of the property, the township can use it for their gateway along Bowes Road and then place some utility items there, mainly for a sprinkler system. Since you cannot use public property for a private purpose, the portion of land Virgin's Broadband will use would become taxable and they would be responsible for the taxes. I believe this is a win-win option for everyone involved. One stipulation is the parcel remains in the city and it can't be detached. In my discussion with Jerry Hale, he was amenable to this request. Upon sale of the property, I request that the Lowell City Council allow me to set aside the proceeds to cover payments so I may utilize these for funding future retiree health care premiums in the 2020 fiscal year. This would allow me to utilize money I would have budgeted to be set aside for an out year, and I would like to set aside funding as we anticipate some future requirements. I recommend the City Council enter into an agreement with Lowell Township to sell 2560 Bowes at a cost not to exceed $20,550, contingent upon entering into the lease agreement with Virgin's Broadband and agreement not to detach the property from the city. That being said, under our city charter, tonight you've been presented with a resolution. It would be Resolution 33-18. This resolution needs to sit on file for 20 days before action can be taken on it. And so I would approach the council in the first meeting in December to consider this action, but my recommendation is what was proposed to us from the township. I believe it's a win-win for everyone.
So we're just putting 3318 on
yeah,
the book,
we're just presenting
for 20 days.
Correct.
The minutes should reflect that the resolution was introduced this evening and will be considered after 20 days.
Okay. So no action tonight. Right?
Correct.
And again,
we have discussion, but we can't take an action.
And this, as the resolution indicates, it's available for review. Anyone that wants to look at the resolution before you have to.
Very good. Any question or discussions on that resolution or the deal?
So upon the sale, Mike, you would take the $20,550 and put it into retirement health care?
I would designate, yeah, I would probably just designate a fund in the city to set it aside, and then probably in that process trying to set aside, put a designated fund in the city so we can start looking at just paying ahead on that, because we're going to have a large amount of retirements here coming up in a couple of years. So if I can just put a little bit ahead of time, I think that would help.
No, if you're asking for the full amount, we'll
Everybody good on that one? Mm-hmm. Good. All right. Item D, Rec Park Steering Committee, Michael.
City Administration recently met with Williams & Works to have our first meeting on the future Recreation Park feasibility study. During our discussions, we discussed how to get the community involved. We believe the steering committee should be involved for the visioning of the future of the site. We also will engage the public through online survey. However, we felt a committee that would be open to reaching out to those in the city who may like to be involved but are not normally doing so would be a good idea. We envision this community providing input on the future of the site, the survey, design charrette, and the finalized study. Since the fair has not vacated and we are uncertain when they will, it might not be suitable to start implementing plans until or near when they vacate. We anticipate this community involvement being somewhere between 8 to 12 weeks until the study is complete. City administration has discussed the concept with a few people who have interest in the future use of the site, and they would be interested in participating. We would like to keep the committee to no more than 20 people if possible. If council is supportive of this, we would like to designate a recreation park future use steering committee for the feasibility study. City administration will take the necessary steps to seek interested candidates from those within the community.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have an idea of who you'd be looking at outside of people who have interest in the property?
Really, any,
Like surrounding businesses?
business owners, residents, people are interested.
Is there a way people can come in and let you guys know they're interested?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll try and get some things on the city website, social media, get the word out.
Very good.
Are you gonna sit on that, or is one of the council members?
I think a council member should sit on it.
Yeah.
I think I should be the administrative.
Okay.
Between Rich and I should be the administrative people involved.
And would you have somebody then, I don't know, are you gonna limit businesses and residents, or are you just gonna say best 20 people are the best 20 people? You know what I mean?
You'll probably always get that same 10% that goes
You're
everywhere
gonna-
else, so you're
yeah.
gonna probably see that same.
You're probably gonna, that's probably what you're gonna see.
Are you gonna open it to township residents as well, and they use our parks too?
I mean, if you have business owners who live in the township, I don't see why not. I mean, I think this is a community project. I mean, obviously, I think you'd want to be preferential to city residents first.
Right.
But, and business
You
owners,
don't
yeah.
exclude them.
Right.
All right, very good. Anything else on the committee? No? All right. Item E, Industrial Development District. Michael.
We received an industrial facility tax credit application for new construction of a 41,000 square foot facility to pack and warehouse packaged flour at 115 South Broadway, which is King Milling. This property is located on the former Michigan Wire property. During our analysis of the application, we learned that part of the property is not currently in the industrial development district, which King Milling currently has. However, we discovered a portion of this property was in an industrial development district formed in 1978 for Michigan Wire. Additionally, the district formed was that of the expanded property at that time, which was given an abatement, not their entire property. As a result, if an industrial facility tax credit was granted, only a portion of expansion on the property would be eligible, basically in the footprint of where the previous expansion was 40 years ago. After discussion with the city attorney, we realized a new district would need to be formed to offer the IFTC. Since the application was submitted prior to construction, we are able to do this. The city council is being questioned if they would be interested in considering a request for an industrial facility tax credit to King Milling for the new facility. If interested, creating the district is the first step in moving forward. If the council is in favor of this, the city attorney and I will begin the process to formally establish the district and formally introduce the IFTC request. IFTCs are abatements of 50% of real and personal property taxes on the new investment. Since the state of Michigan will have completely phased out the personal property tax on all property by 2023, the impact to the applicant is the real property of the new expansion. King Milling has received IFTCs in the past. During my tenure, we have provided IFTCs to Lighthouse and Big Boiler Brewing. IFTCs may be established for up to 12 years. My recommendation has been to initially, if you were to do the full 12, would be to initially grant a 5-year IFTC and then have the applicant return for the remaining 7 years. This ensures the applicant has been compliant, the proper documentation is necessary is being completed for the abatement, along with assurances that they've been paying taxes timely, or any other standards we set. Since this is a policy decision of the council, I will not provide a recommendation on this. However, this has been an established past practice and has been beneficial to businesses seeking IFTCs.
Is there anyone here from King Milling tonight? Apparently not.
No, I would have them come at a later date. I didn't have them come tonight because basically we needed to set the district first before we could do anything. So that's kind of why I didn't do that.
Well, we could, I don't see any harm in establishing the district, and then we can see the formal request and decide on that completely separate, right? They're not.
Right.
I'm just curious how many jobs would be added. Some of these others that we've allowed in the past brought jobs, and Big Boiler brought, visitors to town. It's good for the community. I know King Milling's last edition, I think, added 1 job. And if we're looking at the financial straits that the city is in, we have some significant changes coming in our retirement and health insurance costs that we're going to be in trouble down the road. I want to be cautious in what we do. It was really helpful, you provided some additional information on this. On the next page, it says, at least 90% of the property must be used for a warehouse, distribution, logistics, or communications center, and occupy a building or structure that is more than 100,000 square feet. Is that building that large? I can't imagine it is.
That only applies if it's a warehousing, distribution, or logistics. If it's only used for those purposes, then it has to be 100,000 square feet.
They would be eligible because they're a manufacturer. They manufacture a product.
Okay, they don't have to meet that requirement.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think this is only for, I think this is what you're referring to, certain border counties, which we do not apply, they get some benefits that we don't a lot of times because those communities, they're right on the border to Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin. They have much more lucrative incentive packages that their states allow them to do, and there's been known to try and pluck some of our Michigan businesses.
Mike, is the 50% abatement, is that adjustable, or is that standard, or is that
No, it's-
minimum, maximum?
It's 50%. Yeah, it's 50%. I've never heard of an IFT not being 50%.
It's 50% for new facility,
Right.
and it's frozen if you're rehabilitating the existing facility. It stays frozen at whatever it was before. One thing you should know is you'll be required to have 2 public hearings if you go all the way on this. One is the district. You have a public hearing on that. If you approve the district, then you have to have a public hearing on their application. So there is a process.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll get the first part of the request, I guess, is creating the district. So if there's a consensus on that, we'll have Mike and Nick start that. Everybody's
Do you need a
good with that?
motion on that?
No, just
Yeah,
a consensus.
yeah.
Okay.
Good with that?
Yep.
Good. All right, so you guys will take care of that?
Yep, we'll take care of that.
All right. Item F, IFTC application fee and policy, Mike.
During the review of our last IFTC request, I realized a few things. First of all, the city does not charge any sort of application fee when these requests come in. Public dollars are used for all of the postage, newspaper publications, and attorney costs. Also, staff time is utilized processing these applications. Many communities have developed a fee structure to alleviate costs from the municipality when these applications come in. Since we have been approving IFTCs for 5 years, in the last couple of years, we've approved IFTCs for 5 years, so they have to come back. And having them return for the remainder, we will have to continue to obtain these requests. So I'd like to engage the council in the discussion of an application fee for this task. In addition, the city has no formalized policy on handling IFTC applications. There should have been some process of review before a recommendation is made to the council. While I have 12 years of experience in handling IFTC applications, there may be a time a person in my current role doesn't have this experience. In my former community, an IFTC committee of members of the city council and city staff would review applications and make recommendations to the council when the applications would come in. This process might build some institutional knowledge going forward, and a set of written policies to work from might be beneficial to everyone involved. I'd like to approach the city council to consider a fee structure for these applications along with a formalized policy. While the city charter does not allow standing committees of the city council, having a special committee of council members and staff on these applications will be intermittent enough to where this wouldn't be an issue. While I would entertain discussion on this topic, I would recommend the whole city council direct the city manager to develop a fee structure and a policy going forward in managing industrial facility tax credit applications. So,
Mike, we pretty much know, we've been doing it long enough now, you pretty much have got a number that it costs to do it all, right?
yeah,
I mean, with city staff and the postage and a ballpark number.
somewhere between $600 to $1,200.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
that's more what we'd be looking into then.
Yeah, it's not something too overborne, but I know that Dick will say that we have to be able to, in order to set the fee, it has to be a true articulation of our costs.
Let's be close to what your costs actually are. You can't make money on.
No,
I mean, it's like, figure 5 hours of staff time and whatever it might be to
Right.
come up with it.
And then the committee, and that's not unusual in other communities also, it kind of addresses your issue, Greg. Someone takes a look at these and then makes a recommendation to the full council.
Just taking a step back too, we just obviously talked about the district, something to think about. One of the things I noticed with how our districts are, it's very piecemeal, meaning you get a request, you have to form the district. We've done this a couple times now before I arrived here. You have to form a district, then you have to, then you obviously go through the FTC process. So we're forming all these little individual districts throughout the city. A suggestion might be, rather than doing that, look at our industrial zone property in the city. And there's areas that are zoned industrial. Something you may also want to even consider is something I learned is there's some unique businesses out there that you would never think of are eligible for IFTCs. The one that's been coming up in the last 10 years really has been the microbrewing industry. So you're seeing communities approve abatements in their downtown district for a microbrewery. We've already done that with Big Boiler. Could happen again. But what I'm suggesting is maybe rather than having to establish individual districts every time, what you may want to do is maybe start considering an overlay district, or basically taking areas that are zoned and just create the district so that when they come, if they do come and want to do it, it's one less step that has to happen. You just do it all at once. It's something to consider. You don't necessarily have to do that, but it might make it a little bit simpler. But even when I go back to just back a second, go and talk about the downtown. While we don't have one, I had experience with this. Bakeries, commercialized bakeries, are eligible for IFTs. I would have never known that until I actually had an application and actually had to research it. I don't know if there's going to be one coming, but you never know. So it kind of makes me think that if you had something even in the downtown district, you never know, maybe a little bakery might pop up in the downtown district and buy a building and they want to do their operation. I've seen it happen. Just things to think about. And so I'm pitching that idea to you as well.
I think the discussion too for a while has been cleaning up these policies and procedures and making them easier for people to know what we're doing and easier for all of us to know what we're doing. And I think this is a perfect example of one that is just too vague, and all it would take is a little bit of typing and we get it cleaned right up. But I think we should be offsetting the cost with the fee structure regardless. We should for all applications, permits, whatever. We do it for everything else. So I'd like to see you guys put a fee structure together, and then we can start working on changing that policy.
When you talk about an overlay district, would that be like all of the central business district, anything that's pretty much not residential then?
You could do that. I mean, it has to obviously meet. The development has to meet the standards of Public Act 198.
Right.
But it's
but
not
open the whole
it's
business
not
district to
just
it.
make it eligible. Make it available to people. Businesses.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
If we give you the go-ahead to proceed with this, what is your time frame to get us back? I don't want to have it where it sits out for 6 months and we're yelling at you later. So,
No, that's fair.
What would be a fair assessment to get this done in a timely manner?
Maybe
on your schedule.
Maybe 2-3 months. I've already kind of looked at some policies that I like. It wouldn't take much to. I mean, city attorney and I could talk about how we want to approach the district thing. That shouldn't take that long a time.
I think the fee structure would be.
The fee structure, I've already researched that topic, so I already had that, and I've already researched some policies, and a couple of good policies I've seen that I think I just look at and just maybe articulate them.
It's more of just
Well,
creating a hybrid for what applies to us.
Sure.
So we'll look for something in February?
No later than February.
November, December, January, your 3 months?
Perfect.
Get there.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay, awesome,
Very good.
thanks.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Board and Commission reports, Mr. Canfield,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Chambers,
I have nothing to report.
Mr. Salzweedl.
The LCTV fund will be meeting on December 5th. I did look at that, Dennis, that is confirmed, and then shortly after that, we'll come up and I'll start speaking of when those requests need to be brought in to us for review. So looking forward to that meeting, Dennis.
Very good. Mr.
I did too. I did have a citizen ask me about what is happening on the Arbor Board. Who hears from us on the Arbor Board? Anybody? Anything happening with that? They haven't heard any reports, so just putting it out.
Yeah, I missed the October meeting, but maybe one of them was canceled and I missed the other.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
And I don't have anything to report.
I don't either. I have Arbor Board 12. Look is doing the 14th and maybe the 21st. Is that what we decided we're going to move the 21st if we need
the
it?
21st, I think, to the
The 28th.
28th.
Okay.
If
So-
needed.
Yep, so we're going to look at those applications on the 14th, and if we need more discussion on them, it's scheduled for the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but we shifted that to the day after Marty's birthday. And we'll be on celebrating it out after that. And then Fire Authority got moved too, so that's on the 19th this month instead of the 12th. Your turn, Mr. Burns.
Just a couple things. We all know that tomorrow's the election. I'm sure we're all glad when TV ads are done. Know that no matter what some of these elections are, they are going to have an impact on the city of Lowell, regardless of how they pan out. So, just something to remember that these elections do matter, and hopefully people do go out and vote and exercise their right. So we'll find out tomorrow night what happens. The website is up and running. It's moving along. It's night and day better than what we had. But I'm still trying to work on things, trying to get things up to speed. It's just a lot of little things you find that just need to clean up and make it better for the public. This week we'll have 3 RFPs go out. We will have an RFP for the showboat finally. That will finally go out. And then also the portion of park property adjacent to the Unity School, that will go out for RFP this week. And also the LCTV grant the council modified so we could utilize for sidewalks on public property. That RFP will be going out this week as well. And that's all I have.
All right, appointments, which grew exponentially since our last meeting. I have emails out to most of the people on this list. Greg, Construction Board of Appeals.
Yes.
Lara.
Yes.
Mike's not here. David's not here. So we can take those to Susie, and then I'll keep you updated on the rest. Most of these people I was able to get in touch with, and then Susie gave me the contact information for the rest of them. So hopefully by the next meeting we'll have this whole thing cleared back up. Council comments, Mr. Canfield.
Just echo what Mike said, get out and vote tomorrow.
Mr. Chambers.
Downtown's gearing up for Christmas through Lowell. It should be bigger and better. I hope everybody comes and supports everybody. There's over 300 different vendors, and downtown will be open all day on Sundays. So we're looking forward to it. It'll be a busy time.
Very good. Mr. Salzweedl.
I had my 12th annual leaf raking party this Saturday, and as usual, nobody showed, so I did it all by myself. I still have a lot to learn. There's always food and beverage.
I didn't get an invitation.
I'm just saying that it's outstanding. You don't need it anyway.
I would have been happy to supervise the labor.
So anyways, no, that was it.
All right, Mike Larkin allowed me to judge the chili cook-off, so I'd like to thank him for that. It was a lot of fun. There were some good chilies, yeah. I don't know what else. I think that's it, right? That's it. Mr. Phillips.
Well, I have some news tonight. I just recently received a job promotion, and my new job promotion will conflict with my city council. So tonight will be my last council meeting. With that, I'd like to thank the city and the council, as I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I take away much information, knowledge, and experience. I've enjoyed working with each and every one of you. And thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, while we're on the subject, since I tried to, for the record, I tried to talk them out of it 11 and a half times today. Same thing with the months when I try to keep them from retiring. What do we do now, Dick?
Employee replacement.
Is there an application period? Is there a way people can go about?
I think there's 30
So,
days.
yeah, I can elaborate. So what'll have to happen is, well, it'll be at the next council meeting. The council will have to accept his letter of resignation.
Oh,
And then from there, they designate a process. In 30 days after that point, a position needs to be filled. That being said, if I recall, what we did with when Alan Thielander stepped down was, I believe what we did was, from that evening, we set I believe we set a 10-day period, if memory serves me, about a 10-day period where we would take letters of interest, and then at the following council meeting, that was how Marty was selected. And
So
I would suggest, I mean, the charter's kind of vague on how to do it, but all the charter says is that there has to be a formal acceptance of the letter at a council meeting, and then that it's filled in 30 days.
I thought that process last time worked out pretty well. I mean, it was pretty
Did you
seamless.
interview people? I'm trying to remember.
You have that option.
But we only had
Right, you only have-
yeah, we only have the one
That's
application.
what I thought.
Right, you have that
A
option.
few days later, the election was.
Yeah.
Right. You do have that option.
And that person who takes over serves only till next year, right? When Jeff would have been up for election.
Correct, to the next city election.
Okay. So, I think we'll do it that exact same way. Can we open the 10-day period now, or after we accept his letter?
After you accept his letter of resignation.
Which I will tomorrow, Tuesday evening.
Take your time.
Now, can I just raise the issue that I was going to raise before, and that is, in order to adopt an opt-out ordinance, you need 4 votes.
Yeah, I heard
I
that.
only have 4 council members, so you need to schedule a meeting where all 4 of you will be present.
All right.
And hope nobody changed their mind.
That's true.
Okay, so what if we deny his letter of resignation, then he has to keep showing up?
No. We'll send him out to pick him up.
Fantastic. All right, so,
Living with him then.
well, I guess, I don't know, unless anybody has any changes, I thought the last process was pretty seamless. We were able to see who was interested, and we were able to bring it back on.
I encourage anybody that's watching, listening to put in your applications and come on down. The more the better, and I'd like that selection.
Have a little catered interview process
Okay.
at a leaf raking party. Right?
Yes.
There is the requirement of 1 year of city residency.
Correct.
Yes.
1 year of city residency and no default to the city, so meaning you cannot have any outstanding taxes, outstanding bills.
That's how we get off, is just not pay our taxes.
Pay your water bill.
Didn't realize that was
Good reason.
or a water bill. Yeah.
Just give Buick a little laundry list of stuff to follow up on. I like it. All right. At the request of the city manager for his personnel evaluation, I will look for a motion to send this into a closed session to discuss.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
All right. Any other discussion on it?
But before we do that, we're going to set up for.
Yeah, we're gonna help Susie
election.
set up chairs for voting. That's what
Thank you.
Officer Hurst is here to make sure nobody tries to leave.
Yeah.